Check. One, two, three. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now remain silent because we will start the conference as soon as possible. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to the auditorium of Universitas Nasional.
And today, this room does not simply hold an audience. It holds a convergence of scholars, diplomats, and researchers who have traveled across borders, across time zones, and across disciplines. To sit in one room and ask the same question: how do we understand the world we are building together?
On this stage, ladies and gentlemen, in the hours ahead, you will hear from a faculty, an ambassador, and researchers from across continents. But before any of them speak, allow us, on behalf of the organizing committee of the 6th International Conference of Social and Politics 2026, to formally open what promises to be a landmark gathering.
And allow us to briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Nabita Aulia, a student of the Public Administration Study Program here at Universitas Nasional.
And I am Jasmine Amalia from the International Relations Study Program and also from Universitas Nasional. Together, we will be your hosts throughout this conference.
And this year, the 6th International Conference, Social and Politics, carries a theme that speaks directly to the moment that we are living in.
Titled Reconfiguring the Global South in a Fragmented World, Digital Transformation, Governance, and Inclusive Futures. A theme, ladies and gentlemen, that is not just a title on a banner, it is the question this entire room has gathered to answer together.
And to our honorable guests joining us today, both in this room and through a live stream, from the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, the Honorable Dr. Aos Yuli Firdaus, SIP MSI, as Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Nasional.
Your Excellency, Sheikh Abdul Karim Harelimana, as Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda to Indonesia.
The Honorable Dr. Mari Ismawati, MSI, as Second Vice Dean for Finance, Human Resource, Research, Community Service, and Cooperation at Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Nasional.
And to all the respected deans of Universitas Nasional who honor us with their presence this morning. And now we come to one of the highlights of this morning as we welcome the participants of the 3rd summer course Sultan Takdir Ali Syahbana FISIP 2026. Coming from different countries, they bring with them diverse perspectives, experiences, and aspirations that will enrich this international academic journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming our participants of the 3rd summer course Sultan Takdir Ali Syahbana FISIP 2026 for the representative who've been mentioned. Please stand up.
The representative of Pakistan, please stand up.
The representative of Nigeria.
The representative of Palestine.
The representative of Gambia.
The representative of Sierra Leone.
The representative of Guinea.
The representative of Egypt.
The representative of Malawi.
The representative of Uzbekistan.
the representative of Bangladesh,
the representative of Malaysia,
the representative of Rwanda,
the representative of Saudi Arabia,
and last but not least, the representative of Indonesia.
Very well, everyone. And also to the presenters of the 6th International Conference of Social and Politics 2026, who's representing various institutions and country. And of course, to all participants of the 6th International Conference of Social and Politics 2026. Selamat datang, welcome, and thank you for choosing to be here in this room at this moment.
And before we proceed to the main agenda, let us begin as we always should, by standing together in respect for our nation.
May us invite everyone present for singing the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya, followed by Mars Universitas Nasional. And to all participants, please stand up. You may now remain to your seat.
There is a particular kind of energy in a room that has just stood together in one voice. It is the energy of shared purpose, and it is precisely that energy that has carried ICASA from its very first edition to where we stand today, its sixth.
Behind every milestone is someone who carries the vision forward, year after year, detail after detail, and so it is only right that we begin this conference by hearing directly from her.
And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Chief Executive of the 6th International Conference of Social and Politics 2026, Mrs. Athina Iza S. in MSc, to deliver her opening address on the stage.
And for Mrs. Athina, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone, distinguished guests and speakers, His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Karim Harelimana, the Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda to the Republic of Indonesia, our distinguished invited speakers, Mr. Karim Blasi from the United States of America, Professor Dr. Lai Yeumeng from Malaysia, Professor Dr. Oleksiy Haran from Ukraine, and Dr. Yuri Alfrin Aladin and Dr. Konita Basalamah from Indonesia. The Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Nasional, Dr. Aus Yuli Firdaus, SIP MSI, the Vice Dean for Finance, Human Resources, Research, Community Service and Cooperation, Dr. Mari Ismawati, MSI, the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, Student Affairs and Alumni, Nursatyo Essos, MSI, our respected faculty members, professors, lecturers, researchers, students, participants, and colleagues from Indonesia and from around the world. And of course, my dear colleagues of the ICOSOP 2026 Organizing Committee. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. It is great honor and also a great responsibility for me to stand before you today and as the head of the organizing committee of the 6th International Conference on Social and Politics, or ICOSOP 2026. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I would like to warmly welcome all of you to Universitas Nasional. This year's ICOSOP carries the theme, Reconfiguring the Global South in a Fragmented World, Digital Transformations, Governance, and Inclusive Features. I believe this theme is particularly relevant to the world we are living in today. We are witnessing a world that is becoming increasingly interconnected, but at the same time, increasingly fragmented. Technological transformation, geopolitical competition, economic uncertainty, climate challenges, and changing pattern of global governance are reshaping the international system today. For countries of the global south, these changes do not simply create challenges, they also create opportunities to rethink how we understand development, governance, cooperations, and our positions in the global order. Therefore, ECOSOC is not simply a forum for presenting research, it is a space for dialogue, a space where scholars, policymakers, practitioners, and students can exchange ideas, challenge existing assumptions, and perhaps most importantly, listen to perspectives from different parts of the world. And this is why I am particularly grateful to all of our speakers and participants who have made the effort to join us today, whether here in person or online. At this moment, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the people who have supported us throughout the preparation of this conference. First and foremost, I would like to sincerely thank you, our Dean, Dr. Aus Yuli Firdaus, SIP MSE, for his guidance, support, and encouragement throughout the preparation of ECOSOC 2026. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to Dr. Mari Ismawati, MSE, Vice Dean for Finance, Human Resources, Research, Community Service, and Cooperation, and Mr. Nusatyo for their support and assistance in making this conference possible. I would like to give my special appreciation to Dr. Konita Basalama, Dr. Jane Novelin Teja, MKSOS, and Dr. Safrizal Rambe, SIP MSE. They have been very important in the preparation of this conference, and their advice, assistance, and willingness to support the committee have helped us tremendously. And of course, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the entire ECOSOC organizing committee. There are many things that participants may not see behind an international conference like this. Countless meetings, emails, WhatsApp messages, revisions, invitations, technical preparations, registrations, certifications, communication with speakers, and many last-minute adjustments. And I know that many of you have worked beyond what was expected of you. So to the entire committee, thank you. Thank you for your time, your patience, your energy, and most importantly, for your commitment. This conference will not be possible without your collective effort. And as the head of the committee, I'm very grateful to have worked with such a dedicated team. To all our distinguished speakers, thank you for sharing your knowledge and perspective with us during the panels later on at the afternoon. Your presence gives meanings to this conference, and we truly appreciate the time and effort you have invested in joining ECOSOC 2026. To our international speakers who are joining us from Rwanda, the United States of America, Malaysia, Ukraine, and other parts of the world, thank you for making ECOSOC a truly international forum. And to all participants, researchers, lecturers, and students, thank you. Thank you for being here today. I hope that today's discussion will not end with this conference ends. I hope that the ideas exchanged today will continue through future collaborations, future research, and future conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, organizing an international conference is never a one-person effort. It is a collective journey. And today's event is the result of the collaboration, trust, commitment of many people. Therefore, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to once again express my sincere gratitude to the leadership of FISIP Universitas Nasional, our speakers, moderators, participants, partners, and every member of the organizing committee. Finally, I hope that ECOSOP 2026 will become more than just an academic gathering. May it become a place where ideas meet, perspectives connect, and meaningful collaborations begin. Let us use this opportunity to learn from one another, to engage in constructive dialogue, and to contribute to a more inclusive and meaningful understanding of the Global South in this fragmented world. With that, I warmly welcome all of you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Politics, ECOSOP 2026. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And thank you, Mrs. Atina, for the welcoming speech. A reminder that International Conference Social and Politics has never simply been an event on a calendar, but a commitment renewed each year. Ladies and gentlemen, our program continues. It is our great honor to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas Nasional to deliver the welcoming speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause as we welcome Dr. Aos Yuli Firdaus, SIP MSI, the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Science. For Dr. Aos Yuli Firdaus, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Karim Harelimana, Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda to the Republic of Indonesia, and our distinguished keynote speakers. Ahlan wa sahlan ya Syekh fi hudurikum fi hadhil jami'ah. Hadhi bima rosani antum hudur fi huna. Jadi Syekh Abdul Karim ini alumni Madinah. Our distinguished speakers, Mr. Karim Blasi from the United States, Dr. Konita Basalama from Indonesia, Professor Dr. Oleksiy Haran from Ukraine, Professor Dr. Lai Yuming from Malaysia, and Dr. Yuri Alfrin Aladin from Indonesia. Ms. Atina Ija, Chair of the Organizing Committee, distinguished academic, researchers, practitioner, colleague, student, and all of participants joining us both here in Jakarta and virtually from around the world. It's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all to Universitas Nasional and to the 6th International Conference on Social and Politics, ECOSOP 2026. On behalf of the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Nasional, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to all of you for taking the time to be part of this important international academic gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, ECOSOP carries the theme Reconfiguring the Global South in Fragmented World, Digital Transformation, Governance, and Inclusive Futures. This theme is highly relevant to the challenge we face today. Our world is experiencing significant change in geopolitics, technology, governance, and society. For the Global South, these changes bring both opportunities and challenges. Digital transformation and emerging technologies offer new possibilities for development and cooperation, while also raising important questions about inequality, governance, technological dependency, and strategic autonomy. Therefore, we believe that academic dialogue and international collaboration are essential to better understand this transformation and to explore possible pathway toward more inclusive and sustainable futures. Through ICOSOP 2026, we hope to provide meaningful platform for scholars, researchers, practitioners, and students from different countries to exchange knowledge, share perspective, and build lasting academic collaboration. We are especially honored by the presence of His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Karim Herlimana, as well as our distinguished speakers from the United States, Ukraine, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, expertise, and perspective with us. Your presence is great honor for Universitas Nasional and greatly enrich this conference. I would also like to extend my sincere appreciation to Ms. Atina Ija and the entire organizing committee, the Center for Social and Political Studies, and everyone who has worked diligently to make this conference possible. I hope this conference will generate fresh ideas, encourage meaningful academic exchange, strengthen international network, and contribute to our shared effort to build inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for the Global South. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Universitas Nasional, welcome to the Faculty of Social and Political Science, and with great pleasure, I welcome you all to the 6th International Conference on Social and Politics, ICOSOP 2026. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Rasili Firdaus, for the warm welcome and meaningful remarks.
And with that, we are ready to continue the 6th International Conference of Social and Politics 2026 as we bring together ideas, perspectives, and voices from around the world.
Okay, Jasmine, there is a language that does not need translation. It speaks through movement, through rhythm, and through the body itself. And it is the oldest language Indonesia has ever known.
Very well, Nabita, but before we move forward into the world of ideas, let us pause here in this moment for the world of art.
And please welcome Sri Kandi Maheswati.
Dr. Sri Kandi Maheswati.
And thank you for reminding all of us that before we speak to culture in our papers, culture is something that we can still see and still feel right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now arrived at the moment many of you have been waiting for.
There were conversations that happened between neighbor desk, and there are conversations that happened between nations. And what you are about to witness is the latter.
Joining us today, representing the Republic of Rwanda to the Republic of Indonesia, is a diplomat whose presence in this room is itself a testament to reach of International Conference of Social and Politics 2026 beyond these walls, beyond this city, beyond this country.
And ladies and gentlemen, please rise and joining us in extending the warmest welcome to His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Karim Harelimana, Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda for Indonesia, as he delivers today's keynote address.
For Sheikh Abdul Karim, the floor is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Distinguished leaders of Universitas Nacional, the Dean of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, distinguished academics, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen, fellow speakers, our youth, our children, the students in this faculty, good morning. It's a great honor to join you at this 6th International Conference on Social Politics. I sincerely thank the Universitas Nacional for inviting me to share some perspective on this year's important theme: reconfiguring the global south in a fragmented world, digital transformation, governance, and inclusive futures. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created earth, He made it into waters and land. He blessed it with many resources, then sent mankind to live on this earth. He made the land in 5 or 6 continents, well known to all of us. And the natural resources which are inside this earth are for us to use. We turn them in whatever we think can be beneficial to us. But humankind, being blessed with the wisdom, sometimes independently we differ from each other. That is why we can see our world clearly fragmented in terms of politics, in terms of social life, and sometimes it can lead us to wars among ourselves. Fragment number 1, let us say it's a south. We are talking about the hemisphere, then south of hemisphere. Here you find South America, you come to the Atlantic, you go to Asia, you go to Pacific. This is what we call global south. Then you have the global north, that is North Hemisphere. There are some parts from Asia, Eastern Europe, you go to Western Europe, to Northern America, and so on and so forth. This fragmentation in itself naturally is not a problem. But the problem comes when people now start thinking about themselves, start feeling selfish, start being led by ego, interests, and then defending these interests. The problem starts from there. You go to the West, they have their way of living, politically, socially, and of course they have interests which they defend. You come to the South, you find the same thing. This one also maybe it wouldn't be a very big problem, but it becomes a problem when people stick to their ideas. Sometimes they want to force them on others, and sometimes they don't want to share the resources which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed to the earth. So, if this is how the world is, and we look at it as if it is natural, how do we do so that we can survive? Because it seems that the survival is for the fittest. First of all, we need to perform unity among ourselves, avoid the divisions. Number 2, try to bring down that, gap between these fragmented communities and this fragmented government and these fragmented parts of the world. As the Global South, we say that, well, we remember that in 1955, that meeting, that the conference which took place in Bandung, the ideas which we got from there, the one that created the non-aligned movement, and later came to be known as the Global South. That was in 1955, and it is now almost 71 years. And there are dynamics which have happened a lot in the world, so we need to go with the time. Here, we need to reconfigure. We need to reconfigure and move as the world moves. Face the new challenges with the new solutions. Because the world in 1955 is different from the world in 2026. So there is need of reconfiguring, and mainly we remain united, and maybe we increase strength in our union, and we move together to see that we can survive in this fragmented world. The world now where we are, different from the world in 1955, we are living in a digital world. And we are the world is transformed because of this digital world. If we don't move with it, we shall find ourselves living in the Stone Age, while others are moving to the moon, are moving to the Mars, are moving to Mercury, and they are facing the new challenges properly, while us we lag in our backwardness. I can give a good example now of Rwanda. Rwanda, what is they are doing in terms of digital transformation. The experience of Rwanda demonstrates how technology can improve the relationship between citizens and government. Through platforms such as Irembo, there is Irembo government in Rwanda, citizens can access the government services without necessarily moving where the offices are. A smartphone, you are at your work, you are at home, you are at school and you need a certain service, just where you are, you make a request, you are answered. If there is need to pay, you pay, you are given a receipt, and the service is given to you. If it is a paper, you just go somewhere and print it, then you are done. Almost 96% of the services which are supposed to be delivered by the government of Rwanda are in these systems. If Rwanda has reached there, I'm sure that the bigger countries in the Global South are gone even further. So technology is used to address also practical challenges in other sectors, including healthcare, whereby in these days you can get a doctor from the USA while you are in Jakarta, and collaboration with doctors in place, you can be treated, or even sometimes the surgery is done upon you. So, to give an example of Rwanda, we are using the drones to deliver blood and essential medical supplies to health facilities, particularly in the areas far away or where transportation can be challenging. But technology alone is not enough. A digital service is only meaningful when people can actually use it. This is why digital literacy and access are equally important to teach the people. So Rwanda's digital ambassadors, we have that digital ambassadors program, has helped bring digital skills to communities, particularly those that might otherwise be left behind. So these experiences which we are getting from Rwanda, we can find it, in other places in the South, the Global South, and where they are not, we can help each other to learn from each other. Let us talk also about the governance. Governance is very important in the people's lives. Where governance is not good, you just expect problems. So digitalization also requires responsible governance. As governments increasingly use digital systems, data and emerging technologies, we must pay greater attention to privacy, protection of the children from abusive content. With what we have today, and we call it social media, if governments are not responsible, we shall see that the future generations are going just to loss. So, cybersecurity, accountability, and public trust are needed in our governance. Because technology can make government more efficient, but strong institutions and responsible leadership also are very much essential. So the question is not simply how quickly we can adapt new technologies, but how responsibly we can use them for the benefit of our people. We need to strengthen South-South cooperation. Maybe I talked about it a little bit. But cooperation among countries of the Global South is very important and becomes more important even in this digital era. Countries like Rwanda, Indonesia, and other Global South countries like Brazil, China, Egypt, India, South Africa, and so on and so forth, need to improve their cooperations in terms of the new world. Otherwise, we can easily find ourselves lost in the sea. There is a considerable potential for cooperation in many sectors, including education, including this digital transformation, where we can see some of the Global South countries are very much advanced, like China, India, and so on and so forth. So we can cooperate in innovation, healthcare, agriculture, trade, investment, and human capital development. This cooperation should go beyond government and reach to the people. Universities where we train our young people are supposed to, among other lessons they are giving to our children, to teach them about the Global South and how they can contribute to its development. And the role of young people also is very essential, especially those who are at universities and those who have left the universities just a few years ago. Like this university, Universitas Nacional, has an important role in this process. Because universities are not only places for education, they are places where ideas become research, and research becomes innovation, and innovation can become solution to so many problems. So our young people must remain at the center of this transformation. Whatever we do in that political arena, we must have our young people in our hearts and minds so that when we are leaving the platforms, we know that they are in safe hands. These young people are not simply the leaders of tomorrow, as we sometimes claim, but they are already contributing to our societies as researchers, entrepreneurs, innovators, and professionals. Young people are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they are even today leaders. Conclusion, Mr. Dean Sir, the faculty members, fellow speakers, the Global South has much to contribute to the world. Through its knowledge, innovation, experience, and homegrown solutions. Through this, Rwanda can learn from Indonesia, just as Indonesia can learn from Rwanda. Africa can learn from Asia, and Asia can learn from Africa. South America can learn from any part of the world, and vice versa. This is the true potential of South-South cooperation. As we look forward, the future, we must invest in people, strengthen institutions, use technology responsibly, and build partnerships that create tangible opportunities. The future of the Global South should not simply be shaped for us, we must have a meaningful role in shaping it. I thank Universitas Nacional for bringing us together and wish the 6th ECOSOP every success. May it further strengthen the bonds between Rwanda, Indonesia, and the Global South altogether. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for the welcoming speech. But with all due respect, we kindly requested you to remain on the stage, as we will be presenting a small token or gift for Your Excellency.
And in every diplomatic visit, there is a gesture meant to outlast the visit itself. A small token to carrying a large meaning that this exchange will not end when you leave this room.
We now invite the Dean of the Faculty to the stage for the presentation of a token of appreciation to His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda. Your Excellency and Your Honor, please stand by on the stage for a while. Stand by for a while, I'm sorry. My apologies, because we will be doing the photo session together, all of the presenters today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now kindly invite our keynote speaker and all of our invited speakers, along with the Vice Rector, the Dean, and representatives of the Faculty of Social and Political Science, the professors and senior academics, the head and secretary of the study program, as well as Mrs. Atsina and Mr. Maulana from PKSP, to kindly come forward and join us on the stage.
We would also like to invite all the summer course participants and a lecturer from the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences to join us for this memorable photo session. Please make your way to the stage and kindly arrange yourself according to our committee. Let's give your best smile, everybody, on the count 3, 2, 1. Cheese.
All right, another pose. 3, 2, 1, smile. International pose, everyone. Like this. International pose. On the count of 3, 2, 1, cheese. Last one. Free pose, free pose. The last one, free pose. All right, stand by. 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You may all remain to your seat, everyone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving on to the main session for today's program, the conference session. And it is our great honor to welcome our distinguished moderator, Mr. Muhammad Maulana, SH, MPA.
Muhammad Maulana is a lecturer in the Department of Public Administration, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Nasional, focusing on good governance, gender equality, and social inclusion.
He holds a Master of Public Administration from Flinders University through the Australia Awards Scholarship. With over 15 years of experience, he specialized in governance, political economy, and public financial management. He is the founder of the Institute of Budget and Policy Studies and has contributed to various public policy development.
We are now very delighted to have you with us today and look forward to an engaging and insightful conference session. May we kindly invite Mr. Maulana to come forward and join us on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up to our moderator. A big round of applause.
And now it is our pleasure to hand over the session to Mr. Maulana, and the stage is yours.
Check. All right, thank you for the master of ceremony for inviting me coming to the stage. And good morning, everyone. How are you today? And to all the distinguished speakers, the Dean, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Nasional, and also the Sheikh Abdul Karim from Rwanda, and also all the lecturers, professors from the Universitas Nasional, and also participants from around the countries, from Indonesia and the other countries also, students from the bachelor degree, master degree, and also from doctoral degree. Thank you so much for coming and join in this international conference. And in this session, we will talk about the very interesting topic. As we know, the topic is configuring the global south in fragmented world, digital transformation, governance, and inclusive features. So it's my great pleasure to moderate this important discussion at the 6th International Conference, ICOSOC. And our conference today raised a very interesting, and I would say this is a very challenging questions. As Mr. Abdul Karim said in his speech, that now we are in the digital era, now we are in the, there's the world and the global south and also the global north, but actually that is not the problem, but the problem is how we manage and how we maintain this relation. We are now living in the period characterized by geopolitical rivalry, technological disruption, growing economic uncertainty, and also the political polarization and widening inequalities. At the same time, digital transformation and artificial intelligence are creating new opportunities for development, participation, and innovation. The question is now, who controls the technology? Who controls information? And who defines knowledge, and ultimately who has the power to shape the future? Now we have 5 distinguished speakers. The first, I will invite Mr. Karim Blasi, and I invite you to come up and go to the stage. And please applause for him. And the second speakers who coming on site is Bapak Dr. Yuri Aladin. Please come forward to the stage. And also we already have 3 other speakers who is joining online. There's Professor Lai from Malaysia, and also Professor Oleksi Haran, yeah, Professor Haran, and also Ibu Dr. Konita. I'm just want to check, Professor Lai, are you there online? Let we check the sound before we start the discussion. Are you listening my voice? Is it clear?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Alai. And then I would like to greet Professor Haran from Ukraine. Can you hear our voice from here? Hello, Professor Haran. Maybe we move to Ibu Dr. Konita. Bu Dr. Konita, can you hear? Can you get my voice here?
Yeah, sure. Loud and clear.
Oh, all right, thank you. Bu Konita, and I try to call again Professor Oleski Halan. Professor Oleksi Haran. Hello? Okay, for a moment maybe we just start with 4 speakers, and next maybe I will contact again to Professor Oleksi Haran. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this important topic in our conference, we already have all the speakers, and let we begin from the economic and financial dimension. And to discuss this topic, I would like to invite Mr. Karim Blasi. He is a strategic finance and governance advisor who works at the same where international technology meets local institutions. His focus is private market allocation and cross-border business strategy. His connection to Indonesia spans more than 30 years. And just now, Mr. Karim said to me that Karim is the name who gave it from Indonesian, right? Yeah. So he's the citizenship is US, but Mr. Karim can speak Indonesia fluently. So don't worry, guys. If you want to ask with Indonesia, I think Mr. Karim can understand very good. And he's a strategist drawn to a harder question: how emerging economies can embrace powerful technologies while retaining the power to decide. And today, he speaks on sovereignty, governance, and what should never be outsourced in the age of artificial intelligence. So, Mr. Blasi, you have 20 minutes, and I hope you can give us new insight from your perspective. And from your perspective, maybe you can give us insight about the strategic finance and cross-border investment, and how can countries in the global south strengthen their strategic autonomy without isolating themselves from global capital and international markets. So the time is yours. Up to you. You can sit or you can stand there.
Standing would be better.
It's your time. Yeah. Applause for Mr. Karim.
Testing, testing. Test dulu. So I did prepare a PowerPoint presentation. I also sent a cool little video, but I'm not sure if it's going to work on this. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My sincere thanks to the Dean, to distinguished guests, and Your Excellency. Basically, do we have my PowerPoint presentation? We could bring it up on the first slide. Yeah? So basically, you know, it's a very hot topic. Everyone talks about sovereign AI, right? Which I feel like is another marketing term like organic. Let me start with 2 sentences that seem to contradict each other. No country can build artificial intelligence alone, and no country can afford to become powerless inside the systems it comes to depend on. Both are true, mind you. And the space between them is what I want to spend the next few minutes discussing. Okay, so over the last few weeks, just in these last few weeks, the conversation here has shifted immensely. It's moved upstream, as it were. The Ministry of Communications and Digital Affairs, also known as Komdigi, has started talking openly about sovereign AI, as everyone is. Actually, a lot of financing is going into sovereign AI. And not just about apps and models, but about the things underneath them. We all know the discussion of power, electricity, data centers, chips, the people. Meanwhile, the national AI roadmap and the governance framework are edging toward implementation, which tells me the question has changed. It's no longer whether Indonesia will use AI. That ship has sailed. Indonesia is already one of the heaviest users in the world. The real question is what kind of relationship it wants with the intelligence it's starting to lean on. And if you want more discussion afterwards, please, we can discuss. Now, will it just consume it, host it, or finance it? Or will it hold enough power to understand it, argue with it, change it, and answer for what it does? Because that's the big global question about AI. How much power do we actually have? Now, sovereignty is a very, very big word. And it can make this sound much simpler than it actually is. It can sound like everything should be built here, owned here, kept inside the borders, but that's not how any of this works. The supply chain is global. The chips come from one place, as we all know. The design tools from another. The cloud from somewhere else. Again, the money from several directions at once. Some gray, some not so gray. Indonesia should work with all of them. So sovereignty cannot mean isolation. But cooperation cannot mean giving up the right to decide. Neither. So here's the definition I'd offer. And it's a plain one. Sovereignty isn't about owning every layer. It's about keeping authority over the decisions you cannot safely hand to somebody else. And I should be honest, this isn't a new worry or concern. Procurement lawyers and public institutions have wrestled with versions of it for years. What's different with AI is the speed. Your own deputy minister made the point just days ago. The technology is starting to act on its own. Isn't that kind of terrifying? And the real risk is the gap between how fast it moves and how fast we can govern it. The systems can settle deep into how an institution runs before anyone quite notices which decisions have already been made for them. The way I've come to see it, those decisions fall into three areas: capacity, decision, power. And what all recourse? What's left for the ordinary person on the other end? In terms of capacity, this is another very large topic going on right now, everywhere in the world. Indonesia has set itself a target of more than 2,000 megawatts of data center capacity by 2029. And in the same breath, the government estimates a shortfall of around 3 million digital talent professionals. So hold those two numbers next to each other for a second. One of them measures the build. The other measures whether there'll be enough people who actually understand what's running inside it. Because at this part, I keep coming back to. A data center does not become sovereign just by changing its postal code. The building can sit right here in Jakarta, but who controls the compute? Who understands the software? Who decides where it all goes when demand spikes? Who keeps the thing running once the implementation team has flown home? And what do we actually know how to do after they've gone? None of that is an argument against foreign investment, by all means. We need foreign investment. It's the difference between investment that builds real Indonesian capability and investment that just parks somebody else's capability on Indonesian soil and calls it progress. The ambition your own ministry named is the right one, that Indonesians become subject, not sekedar object of this technology. Subjects, not just the objects. And this is globally, with every emerging economy, in the global north or global south. And that's the line I draw. Sovereignty doesn't start the day Indonesians become very good users of tools designed elsewhere. It starts when Indonesian engineers and researchers and institutions can take those tools apart, ask hard questions of them, bend them to local languages and local conditions, and make them better. Something I would like to note that I'm actually very excited about is the Sahabat AI, which is going to change the large language model in Indonesia. Indonesia doesn't have to make every chip or train every frontier model. Nobody does. But it needs to know enough to negotiate from a position of strength rather than a position of need. Infrastructure without knowledge is just rented capacity. And knowledge without infrastructure is frustrated potential. And I'm sure we all can agree that we're a little bit frustrated with potential at some point. You need enough of both to have a real choice. Now, talking about the second, which is also a complication when it comes to politics. Decision power. The second area is decision power, and this is where it gets less glamorous, which is probably why it matters more. The first decision, the one to adopt, gets the launch ceremony, the press release, photograph with everyone smiling in a row. We all know how that goes. The harder decision shows up much later in a smaller room, when somebody finally asks whether the system can actually be changed. And there's a pause. And then someone says, we'll have to ask the provider. I suspect a few of you have been in that room. Some of the most important AI policy in this country will be written in laws and regulations, yes. But a lot of it quietly, without anyone ever calling it policy, will be written in procurement documents, data agreements, financing structures, and 5-year contracts. A policy can say a system must be transparent. The contract decides whether you're actually allowed to look inside it. A policy can say that data stays under national authority. The commercial terms decide whether the data can really be moved. A policy can say the system should adapt to Indonesian priorities. The renewal clause decides whether adapting means paying the same provider forever. And financing is never neutral. I say that as someone who works on the money side of these deals. Whoever funds the infrastructure tends to shape the technology you choose. The length of the contract, the dependencies you take on, sometimes even the standards you end up organizing yourself around, long before any ministry has read any fine print. So, sovereignty here isn't really a technology question. It's a negotiating question, a financing question, a procurement question, a question of what capability stays in the building. Most of my own working life has been spent in exactly this seam, where international technology meets local institutions, where foreign money meets local priorities, where something that arrives looking like a neat solution slowly hardens into permanent infrastructure. And it's taught me a small habit. Read every proposal twice. Once for what it promises on day one, and once more for what it quietly decides on your behalf in year 5. I'm not here to write Indonesia's AI strategy. Not at all. That would be presumptuous, and that is not my job. I've just learned to watch for the commitments that turn out to be the most expensive to unwind later. So before a system becomes essential, an institution ought to be able to answer a few plain questions. Can we judge whether the provider is telling the truth? Do we keep real rights over our own data? Can we audit it? Can we switch providers without tearing everything down and starting over? And the one I'd underline, what do our own people, our nationals, still know how to do once the consultants have gone home? Not every answer has to be yes. Life doesn't work that way. And neither do budgets. But every trade-off should be understood before the photograph, not discovered years after. Now, the third area I would like to discuss is public recourse. And here, the whole thing stops being about infrastructure and becomes about a person. For most of us, most of the time, the digital state is a friendly thing. It's the cashier at the warung saying, "Scan aja," just scan it. And the payment simply works. But it isn't always that gentle. Picture a system that helps decide whether someone qualifies for a public service. It might process millions of records in the time it takes us to have the conversation. It might be more accurate than whatever came before it. It might cut fraud and get scarce help to the people who genuinely need it. All of that is real, and all of that is good. But now picture one mother, okay, whose household lands in the wrong category. To the system, she's one record in millions. To her family, that one record might decide whether there's food assistance this month, or school support, or health care. And in that moment, the clever thing about the model is beside the point. The only question that matters is whether there's anyone she can actually reach. Now, to be fair, and this deserves saying, Indonesia's digital social protection rollout is already trying to build registration and objection routes into the system. That's genuine progress, and I don't want to wave it away. But the real test of recourse isn't whether a button marked Sanga exists somewhere in an app. It's whether the person on the receiving end can find it, understand it, and get a real answer in the time to matter. Does she have a smartphone? Does the signal reach her village? Is the form written in language she can follow? And when does lodge that objection, does it land front of a responsible human being, or does it drop into a queue that nobody actually owns? A system can be 99% accurate and still be 100% wrong for the one person standing in front of it. Now, President Prabowo made this point sharply not long ago. People shouldn't have to enter the same data over and over, and they shouldn't have to spend money just to prove that they are poor. That's exactly right. Technology should lower the cost of dealing with the state. It shouldn't raise the cost of questioning it. And this is why control by the state on its own is not enough. A system is not sovereign just because it's hosted here, run by national body and shown off under the flag. If the person it affects cannot get an explanation, cannot correct the record, cannot reach a human being, then something has certainly been centralized. But I'm not sure it's been made sovereign. The state may control the system. The person can still be powerless inside it. So real sovereignty has to protect two things at the same time: the country's power to make the big strategic choices, and the citizens' power to challenge the ones that land on her doorstep.
Sorry, Mr. Karim, your time is remaining 1 minute more.
I'm
Is it
wrapping
okay?
up. Wrap up?
Yep.
I'm wrapping up.
Or just
Sorry.
maybe just making faster for
I'll
the...
read faster.
Yeah. And for the main point. Thank you.
Now, for the obvious objection, and it's a fair one, all of this costs money. Local capability costs money. Keeping a second provider alive costs money. Audit rights, portability, a proper human appeal, none of it is free. And speed matters too. Sometimes the fastest way to better public service really is a mature system, but built somewhere else. And not everything is critical. A writing tool in an office is not the same as an animal model used in a hospital or a bank. Now let's get past all this. I want to talk about, really briefly, the Global South, as His Excellency mentioned. And this goes well beyond Indonesia. Right across the Global South, countries are stepping into an AI order whose most valuable layers sit in the hands of a small number of governments and companies. Access to serious computing power isn't shaped by price and alone anymore. And that can create pressure to pick a side. The Global South doesn't need to own every piece of the AI age, but it can't afford just to stay in the market, the place where other people's markets get deployed. Now, I'm gonna pick up the speed here and just come to a closing, right? I've spent most of my life moving between countries and cultures and systems. I won't stand here and claim to speak for Indonesia, but after all these years building a life here, hati saya di sini. And from where I stand, the question I care about isn't really whether Indonesia will use artificial intelligence, it's whether Indonesia will keep the power to shape the terms on which artificial intelligence is allowed to shape it. Now, AI sovereignty isn't a wall, it's the power to negotiate, the authority to decide, and the responsibility to protect. No country can build artificial intelligence alone, but every country can keep the power to decide the terms on which it's allowed to shape. That is not isolation, that is sovereignty. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your great presentation, Mr. Karim. I think it's very interesting because from your presentation, you're questioning about the people's sovereignty today in the era of the artificial intelligence, in the era of the digital era, because we understand now artificial intelligence can do anything for human being, right? So now you are questioning the sovereignty of us, and yeah. So again, thank you and big applause for Mr. Karim. And I believe some of you already have a question for Mr. Karim, but please keep in mind, but after all the speakers presenting their presentation, we will open the discussion for the Q&A. Now, let us move to the talking about the international system. And here we have a person who already have good understanding about the international relation. There is Professor Lai Yu Meng. He is the professor of politics and international relations at the Center for the Promotion of Knowledge and Language Learning. And also he is director of Research Management Center, University Malaysia Sabah. He is also served as fellow at the Malaysian Institute of Defense and Security, Ministry of Defense, Malaysia, and associate research fellow at the University of Malaya Institute of China Studies. Professor Lai is former member of the National Consultative Council on Foreign Policy, Ministry. There are a lot of the experience from Professor Lai working for the state institution. And yeah, without talking all the Professor Lai biography, I think it's the time for Professor Lai to present your presentation. Again, your time, Professor Lai, is 20 minutes, and I will remind you if your time will coming finish. So, Mr. Lai, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bapak Maulana, the moderator. Very good morning to you, fellow speakers, excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Now, allow me to firstly extend my sincere thanks to UNAS for the invitation to share my humble reflections in this esteemed conference, notably on the chosen topic they have given, which is ASEAN centrality and the rise of multilateralism in regional security, a Malaysian perspective. I've actually prepared a PowerPoint slide for this. Can I have those slides ready for my control? Yes, can I have those slides ready, please?
Yeah, operator, okay.
All right, thank you very much. So let me start by stating what is obvious. Now, without doubt, the topic that I have chosen is becoming more relevant than ever. As the region that we are living in, Southeast Asia, has become increasingly VUCA-like. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, all due to geopolitical shifts driven by multiple security challenges, including the intensification of great power rivalry between the United States and China. Now, this shift have placed growing pressure on the regional security architecture that has served Southeast Asia for decades. Now, such a fluid geopolitical environment calls for greater urgency. It calls for agency and leadership among regional security stakeholders, be it major powers, regional states, ASEAN, or even those sub-regional or trans-regional minilateral arrangements to broker peace and stability, sustain peace and stability in Southeast Asia and the broader Indo-Pacific. Now, next slide, please. Now, my sharing this morning will proceed in three parts. First, I will briefly clarify what ASEAN centrality means in the present geopolitical landscape. Second, I will examine the rise of minilateral groupings and their implications for ASEAN. And third, I will offer a Malaysian perspective on how ASEAN centrality can be upheld while the challenges and opportunities of minilateralism are managed. Next slide, please. Now, let me begin with the obvious. Now, ASEAN has served as a critical stabilizing force in Asia Pacific since its founding in 1967. Now, especially since the beginning of the new millennium, ASEAN has reinvented itself, grown in stature and importance, and evolved into a significant player in regional security and diplomacy. And Southeast Asia faces increased geopolitical tensions and uncertainties. ASEAN's role has become ever more crucial. And at the heart of this role, ladies and gentlemen, is the notion of ASEAN centrality. Now, ASEAN centrality generally means that ASEAN as the regional organization should remain at the core of the region's security architecture and decision making. In short, ASEAN serving as the premier platform or principal forum for managing regional security issues, and also the primary convening hub through which the region engages the major powers. But centrality does not simply mean ASEAN occupying the center or the driver's seat. It means ASEAN being able to set the agenda, especially by co-opting and convening major powers through ASEAN-driven or ASEAN-led multilateral platforms, even amidst the rise of unilateral initiatives. Now, ASEAN centrality is crucial. It is crucial in ensuring that Southeast Asia remains actively neutral, relatively free from external dominance, and does not become merely a proxy arena for major power rivalries. Simply put, ASEAN should continue acting as the stabilizing force for regional cooperation and conflict prevention. Next slide. That said, the credibility of ASEAN centrality, ladies and gentlemen, depend on two intertwined pillars or conditions. Firstly, it depends on ASEAN unity, solidarity, and cohesion, and on ASEAN asserting ownership of its multilateral initiatives, APT, ADMM, ADMM+, ARF, EAS, all this, not to allow these multilateral platforms owned by ASEAN or engaged by ASEAN to be hijacked, quote unquote, by major powers. Now, secondly, ASEAN centrality is equally contingent on whether non-ASEAN players such as the US, Japan, China, Korea, Australia, whether they can continue accepting ASEAN as the principal and trusted regional broker. Now, centrality, ladies and gentlemen, cannot simply be declared by ASEAN. It must also be recognized by other actors. Yet both conditions are under strain today. ASEAN commitment to neutrality and non-alignment is increasingly tested by intensifying Sino-American rivalry. Now, ASEAN member states do differ in their alignment, degree of economic interdependence, and national interest vis-a-vis these two competing great powers. And these differences are increasingly affecting ASEAN's collective decision-making. Now, the problem is not about differences and diversity itself. It is when such differences and diversity erode the cohesion needed for ASEAN to act as the credible regional institution. And as US-China competition intensifies against a backdrop of eroding ASEAN solidarity, ASEAN risks not only being sidelined, but also potentially bypassed as major powers pursue alternative security dialogues, visions, and initiatives outside ASEAN framework. Next slide. Now, this brings me to minilateralism. Now, minilateralism, which connotes arrangement among a small number of like-minded states with shared interests, has indeed gained considerable traction in recent years. Like broad multilateral institutions, these groupings normally bring together limited number of actors around specific strategic problem or shared interests. Now, groupings such as the Quad, AUKUS, Five Eyes, JAFFAS or Japan, Philippines, US, and the Squad or Japan, Philippines, US, and Australia. All of them are in part responses to the VUCA regional environment. Yet their rise also reflects ASEAN limitation in providing effective responses to thorny security challenges. And this is often associated with the so-called ASEAN way of consensus building on muafakat, and also the preoccupation with unanimous decisions. Now, these initiatives may not claim to compete with ASEAN directly, but they do address security concerns that overlap with ASEAN's agenda. Now, to be sure, unilateral arrangements by nature and design are often seen as more effective in providing tailor-made responses to specific issues. Now, they tend to be less institutionalized, less cumbersome, less bureaucratic. They are more informal, ad hoc, and flexible. They are more targeted and issue specific. They are also seen as faster and less costly, and they tend to focus on achievable lower hanging fruits rather than grand designs. Now, this capacity for quicker action explains much of unilateralism's present appeal. Now, next slide, please. Yet, while unilateralism is handy, ladies and gentlemen, it also carries strategic costs. Now, in the ASEAN context, it challenges ASEAN centrality because it can both sideline or even bypass ASEAN. Now, the Quad and AUKUS, for example, are US-driven unilateral groupings with agendas aimed at counterbalancing China's rise and growing military presence in the Indo-Pacific. Yet, ASEAN is largely outside their deliberations, even though their activities have direct consequences for Southeast Asian security. Now, this exclusion raises a basic question. Who is actually shaping the regional security agenda? In fact, it creates this impression that decisions affecting the region are increasingly being made outside ASEAN. And that is why ASEAN member states, such as Malaysia, have expressed caution. Now, for example, Malaysia recognizes the security calculation behind AUKUS, but remains cautious that the pact may intensify great power military competition, arms racing, and regional security dilemma. Now, the concern is therefore not simply the existence of AUKUS, but the wider strategic dynamics it may reinforce in an already crowded and contested region. Likewise, Philippines' growing reliance on arrangements such as Jefferson Squad, they may indicate ASEAN member states' dissatisfaction with ASEAN's ability to address the immediate national security concerns, such as the South China Sea. It's therefore interesting to observe how Manila, as the incumbent ASEAN chair today, balances its commitment to ASEAN centrality and collective interest with its narrower interests advanced through the US, allies, and via unilateral arrangements like this. Next slide, please. So what then should ASEAN do, ladies and gentlemen? What should Malaysia's approach be from a Malaysian perspective? Now, for Malaysia, unilateralism and ASEAN centrality should not be treated as an either-or choice. The task is to preserve ASEAN as the principal regional platform while ensuring that smaller arrangements complement rather than displace ASEAN. Here I see a quadruple helix response. First, steadfast commitment to ASEAN centrality. Second, maintaining centrality within Malaysia's and Southeast Asian states' hedging strategy. Third, harmonizing ASEAN centrality with unilateral arrangements. And fourth, institutional reforms to strengthen ASEAN's effectiveness and credibility. Next slide, please. Now, ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN has been a cornerstone of Malaysia's foreign policy for almost 6 decades. And as a smaller state located at the heart of maritime Southeast Asia, Malaysia operates in an environment shaped by power asymmetry, rivalry, and uncertainties. Now, for Malaysia, ASEAN is therefore not an abstract diplomatic preference. It is an important, tangible instrument for preserving regional agency. More specifically, Malaysia views ASEAN as a diplomatic bulwark against superpower rivalry and interference. Now, ASEAN centrality enables not only Malaysia, but other Southeast Asian states to navigate external power dynamics collectively without compromising sovereignty, while at the same time reducing individual members' vulnerability to excessive dependence on any external powers. Now, Now, a Malaysian approach would therefore reaffirm ASEAN as the fulcrum of regional multilateral dialogue. ASEAN must continue leveraging its convening power through APT, ADMM, ADMM+, and the likes. Now, these ASEAN-driven platforms provide this all-important inclusive space for Southeast Asian states to articulate common interests and also to engage all major powers without aligning the region exclusively to any one strategic bloc. Next slide. Secondly, as a smaller state navigating power asymmetries, rivalries, and uncertainties, Malaysia has long emphasized a balanced approach towards major powers. Now, commonly described as hedging, this pragmatic approach seeks to manage risk while maximizing opportunities for national interests in an uncertain international order. Now, Malaysia's hedging behavior generally demonstrates three common attributes. First, not taking sides while maintaining active neutrality. Second, selectively combining defiance and deference towards competing powers in different dimensions of the relationship. Third, diversifying relationship through expanded bilateralism and multilateralism as a means to preserve the so-called strategic room or strategic options, as well as a fallback position. Now, maintaining ASEAN centrality is therefore vital to Malaysia's hedging strategy, especially its principle of not taking sides and diversification through multilateralism is concerned. Now, this very delicate balancing act reflects Malaysia's non-aligned stance and treat ASEAN unity, cohesion, and centrality as a diplomatic hedge or an institutional hedge. Next slide. Third, ASEAN must rise to the occasion by harmonizing its centrality with unilateral arrangements through what may be called as expanded multilateralism. Now, in this regard, ASEAN should position itself as a strategic bridge between unilateral initiatives and the broader regional architecture. Now, the key principle is complementarity rather than competition, inclusivity rather than exclusivity. For example, dialogue between the Quad and ASEAN, including through established mechanisms like ADMM+, they could connect unilateral capabilities with ASEAN's inclusive regional mandate. Likewise, ASEAN should also engage relevant unilateral groups in practical cooperation on maritime security, on HADR, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, on cybersecurity, counterterrorism, and other shared concerns. Now, these are precisely the so-called low-hanging fruit areas where unilateralism can add value without displacing ASEAN. Now, such engagement could also help prevent fragmentation, ensure ASEAN's perspectives are also considered in these extra ASEAN arrangements, and encourage unilateral initiatives to remain consistent or at least aligned with regional norms. Now, if properly managed, ladies and gentlemen, unilateralism need not destroy ASEAN centrality. It can complement and reinforce centrality if ASEAN is capable of connecting these diverse arrangements into a broader, inclusive regional agenda. Next slide. Fourth, ASEAN must strengthen its institutional capacity. Now, centrality will not remain credible if ASEAN is repeatedly unable to respond to crisis or make timely decisions. Now, the objective, therefore, should not be to abandon the ASEAN way altogether, but to recalibrate so that consensus or muafakat does not become paralysis. Now, possible reforms include wider use of the already existing ASEAN Troika, or an ASEAN 5+ format, or a qualified two-thirds majority decision-making, in carefully designed or defined policy areas. Now, the purpose, of course, is not to create a two-tier ASEAN, but to provide limited flexibility where unanimity often repeatedly prevents timely action. Ironically, this so-called ASEAN minus arrangement, albeit under ASEAN's very, they could allow willing and capable member states to act more quickly, while leaving space for others to join later. They may also function as consensus building blocks, gradually narrowing the differences on divisive issues rather than allowing this to organize the entire organization altogether. Now, such reforms demonstrate that ASEAN can adapt without discarding the principle of consultation, sovereignty, and mutual respect that underpins ASEAN's very own. Next slide.
Sorry, Professor Lai, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, the time remaining is 1 minute for you, Professor Lai.
Because member states must resist being pulled too deeply into the strategic orbit of either
Operator, please turn on the microphone from here.
What they are prepared to do.
I think Professor Lai cannot listen.
What they are not prepared to accept from these external powers, and how that collective position should be communicated to these powers. Now, this does not mean forging consensus or
di ruangan biar Profesor Lai bisa dengar.
Unrealistic, ladies and gentlemen. It simply means agreeing to stand.
Professor Lai, sorry, excuse me.
And red lines while holding the UN Charter.
Excuse me, Professor Lai.
The ASEAN Treaty of Amity and Cooperation on TAC. Now, a measure of strategic clarity on ASEAN's part, ladies and gentlemen, would strengthen.
Boleh dibantu operator untuk chat to Professor Lai, just to remind him that the time is over.
To facilitate continuous dialogue towards possible solutions on tricky regional security issues.
Professor Lai.
Finally, ASEAN must demonstrate collective political will on divisive intra-ASEAN issues such as Myanmar and the South China Sea. Because ASEAN's credibility as a regional broker depends on its performance in its own backyard or neighborhood. Next slide. Now, in this regard, Malaysia has consistently sought to strengthen ASEAN from within, promoting solidarity, practical cooperation, and informal dialogue on difficult issues such as Myanmar and South China Sea, while preserving consensus and ASEAN's core principle. Now, the same approach is reflected in Malaysia's support for the AOIP, or ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific, and also its 2025 chairmanship agenda of inclusivity and sustainability, as well as the ASEAN 2045, our shared future, all aimed at none other than keeping ASEAN resilient, inclusive, and capable of exercising meaningful regional agency. Next slide. Ladies and gentlemen,
hello.
Let me conclude.
Yeah, excuse me, Professor Lai. Sorry.
Observations. Firstly, ASEAN centrality remains indispensable, but it must be earned through unity, credibility, and effective action, not sustained by symbolism alone. Second, unilateralism offers speed and flexibility, but the strategic task for ASEAN is to ensure that these unilateral arrangements complement rather than bypasses or even fragment existing ASEAN-driven regional architecture. Last but not least, for Malaysia, the priority is clear. Defend
sorry, can you hear my voice here? Professor Lai.
ASEAN's future, ladies and gentlemen, will depend not on its claim to be central, but on its ability to remain useful.
Professor Lai, sorry. Yeah, thank you for...
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Lai. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, yeah, the topic from Professor Lai discussing and give us insight about the international relation. And I think Professor Lai in his presentation strengthened the role of the ASEAN, especially to strengthen the global South countries. So again, thank you, Professor Lai, and I hope you can still join with us, and because in the Q&A session, maybe there will be some participants will have questions about your topics. Right. So now, after we listen about the sovereignty, international relation, and now we're going to the third present, going to the third presenter. Hello, Professor Haran from Ukraine. Can you hear the sound voice from the forum, from the meeting room?
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Professor Haran. Um, right, so Professor Haran will be the third speakers in our conference. And Professor Haran is professor in the comparative politics at the National University of Kiev Mohyla Academy. And also he is chair of the board of the Naukama School for Policy Analysis. He received his PhD in International Relations from Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev in the early 1990s. Prof. Haran is also a well-known public intellectual. In the late 1980s, he participated in the creation of Ukrainian Democratic Movement, RUK, and in the 24 Orange Revolution. And Prof. Haran's books include, among others, Construction of Political Nation, Changes in the Attitude of Ukraine During the War in the Donbass, and also the other, there are a lot of books already wrote by Professor Haran. And Professor Haran, I think based on your experience, maybe you can share to us what can countries in the global south learn about the protecting democratic institution when domestic politics are increasingly influenced by great power rivalry, and also about the geopolitical competition. And to discuss this topic and to share your experience, your time is 15 until 20 minutes maximum, and I will remind you the remaining time. Now time is yours, Prof. Haran, please.
Thank you very much, Terima kasih banyak. Greetings from Kiev. I'm sitting in the capital of Kiev right now, and Kiev now is under attack. So we have an air alarm. Basically, we are all advised to go to shelters, but I am with you. My topic sounds politicized, but because we live actually in time of war and we are under missiles attacks every night. But nevertheless, I will try to be balanced as much as possible. Yes, my first slide, actually, this you see, this is photo which may be known for many Indonesians, or at least specialists in national relations, because on February 4th, 1946, President Sukarno asked Indonesians to come to the street to express thanks to Ukraine. Why? Because Ukraine, at that time part of the Soviet Union, but it was founding member of the United Nations, and Ukraine actually raised in the United Nations the issue of Indonesia, of the war against Indonesia. So you see in the street, you see on the photo, maybe it's not possible to read you the, what is written there, but it's written Terima kasih, Ukraine. So at that time, yeah, we were supporting you, and we were supporting, Ukraine was supporting many countries, many national movements in their strive for independence. So basically, in the present day situation, we Ukrainians, we also hope for solidarity from you or from the countries of the world. Please, my second slide. And this is a vote in the United Nations in fall 2022 on the territorial integrity of Ukraine. And you see in green countries which voted for this resolution, which was supporting territorial integrity of Ukraine. More than 140 countries supported territorial integrity of Ukraine. You see, Indonesia is also in green, Malaysia is in green, many other countries is in green. So we are thankful for this support. However, you see that some countries of the global south are in yellow. Yellow means we abstain. And I will not go into details for these countries, why they voted for that. We know the arguments. And actually, one of the arguments is that we are neutral. This is geopolitical rivalry. And we are neutral. We are non-allied. Because I am an old guy, I remember 1960s, the war in Vietnam, many other, wars for independence. And I would like to stress that non-alignment movement was not neutral. It was active. It was non-allied, but nevertheless, the countries of this movement, including Indonesia, they actively expressed their position and their support for the countries which were fighting for their independence. And now Ukraine is also fighting for its independence. Please go to the next slide. Okay. So, middle-sized country, Ukraine, which is founding member of the United Nations, which was non-allied. And let me remind you that the war started in 2014 with the occupation of Crimea. And at that time, Ukraine officially was non-allied. It was official position, but it was also supported by Ukrainians. Ukrainians at that time, they wanted to stay neutral. They didn't want to join any bloc, military bloc, including NATO. Moreover, why is it important? It's important also not only for Ukraine, not only for Europe, but also for the world country, for the world security, because Ukraine gave up its nuclear arsenal, which was the third largest in the world after the US and Russia. And basically, Ukrainian nuclear arsenal was France, the UK, and China combined together. So we gave it up in exchange for security guarantees from three great powers: the US, the UK, and Russia. And the guarantees were about territorial integrity of Ukraine. However, in 2014, Ukraine was attacked. So the question is, and the question was for the whole world, for many countries, if we are close to nuclear weapons, to acquiring nuclear weapons, if we have nuclear weapons, and we gave it up, whether we will be safe. What happened in Ukraine actually was undermining non-proliferation regime, because it gave arguments to those who are saying no, to feel secure, we need to have nuclear weapons. And also what happened in Crimea in 2014 and what's happening right now, at that time it was annexation of the territory. It was actually the first annexation in Europe after World War II. So it gives the wrong signal to many countries that they may appear under attack, and somebody larger, somebody stronger may say, well, this is part of our territory, or even that you do not exist. The war is in Ukraine. Well, I would use neutral terms, the war in Ukraine, because we Ukrainians prefer to use other terms, which are clearly stating who is attacking whom, but it's not about territory. No, it's not even about of Ukrainians as a nation. Why? Because what we may hear from Moscow, and there are many, many quotes, is that we do not exist as a separate nation. This was clearly stated by Mr. Putin. Ukrainians do not exist as a separate nation. Basically, it means I do not exist. I am wearing now Ukrainian national costume, Ukrainian vyshyvanka, but I do not exist as Ukrainian, according to this view. And that's what this war is about. So the first one of the threat, as I have said, is nuclear proliferation. Next slide, please. Oh, actually, sorry, this is about UN votes on Ukrainian territorial integrity. And as I have mentioned, most countries supported, well, overwhelming majority of the countries supported territorial integrity of Ukraine. Do you see the figures on the slide? Friends? Friends? Do you hear me? No. You hear me? Okay. So do you see the figures on the slide? No. Let's come back to the slide. And you see that unfortunately the number of votes in support of territorial integrity of Ukraine dropped somehow. Now it's also about 100, so this is overwhelming majority. But the number of the countries which are abstaining from expressing their views on territorial integrity of my country is increasing. So let's go to the next slide. This war actually raised many issues which are important for the global south. One of the issues is human rights and also the fate of such group as Muslim Crimean Tatars, who are native people of Crimea. And you see some Crimean Tatars, this is 214 during the time of occupation of Crimea, March 214. So they're expressing their view. But this view wasn't taken in account by, let me use this name, by Russia. So what we expect here also solidarity from the global south and especially from Muslim countries. And Crimean Tatars, they have the tragic fate in the Russian Empire, in the Soviet Union, because they were deported as a whole nation. And they became able to come back to Ukraine only with Ukrainian independence. So there is an issue of the rights of the ethnic groups, of human rights. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. we have an issue. We have an issue also of human rights of children. There are many children who are deported from the occupied territory. 20,000 children, Ukrainian children, were deported to Russia. And actually, many of them, at the age of 15 or 16, they're involved in military training. And when they reach 18s, they will be mobilized to Russian army, which goes against human rights declaration and treaties. Next slide, please. The nuclear issue. For the first time in the history of mankind, nuclear power station was occupied by the foreign countries. This was Chernobyl, and you know this name. Now it's returned to Ukraine, but there is the largest nuclear power station in Europe, which is in the Ukrainian town of Zaporizhzhia. And it is under military occupation right now. And military equipment is installed inside nuclear power plant, which is very, very dangerous, which increasing the risk of nuclear catastrophe there. And you know, if it happens, you will have huge damages, not only to Ukraine, not only to Europe, but also to the Middle East, to Africa. Huge problems to food security. You know that because of the war in Ukraine, food security now is damaged very, very seriously. This is a problem for the global South. But nuclear security is also a problem. And let me go to next slide, please. Okay, so I'm not sure if you see the figures. Please signal me. Do you see the figures on this slide? Because this is important. This is about the resolution about human rights on the occupied territories, but also below in green, this is a vote on the resolution of nuclear security in the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. And what is, for me, they were passed. But for me, it's disturbing that only about 90 countries voted in, 100 countries voted in favor of the resolution of nuclear safety in Zaporizhzhia. 60 countries abstained. So basically they said, and among them, I will not show you the list of these countries, but very important countries of the global South, the largest countries of the global South, they abstained. So what does it mean? For me, it's a bit difficult to understand because this is a common issue for the whole world. That nuclear power plants shouldn't be occupied, military installment should not be there. And this resolution was about, the military which should leave the territory of this nuclear power station. And more than 60 countries, actually 70.
Excuse me, Prof. Harran?
Say
your time remaining is 1 minute.
Is 1 minute. Okay.
Yep. Your time
They're
remaining
saying
is 1 minute.
that
Yep.
we are abstaining. So basically, what does it mean? We do not care, but this is nuclear security for all of us. So if I have just 1 minute, and basically I have already pointed out some of the main security challenges for the whole world and for the global south included. So the huge issue is how to react to these threats which were shown by the war in Ukraine. And again here, I would like to thank you for support of territorial integrity of Ukraine. And even if you are non-allied, you can make a difference because you may support human rights, you may provide human support, you may be in favor of nuclear security, and many, many other issues which are common for the global south and for the whole world. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Prof. Haran. Thank you so much for your very good presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, we already have discussed about the politics. We already have discussed about the power, about the democracy, and also about the finance and investment. But there's one dimension that can connect all of them, and it is about the communication. That's why here we have Dr. Yuri Aladdin. He is an expert in the communication. Now, he is a lecturer in the Universitas Nasional. He accomplished academic and journalist, currently serving as a permanent lecturer at the Universitas Nasional, and he holds multiple degrees. Yeah, it's very interesting because the ordinary people usually just getting 1 degree for 1 master, for example, because Dr. Yuri has 2 master degrees, yeah, in master in European studies and also master in communication. Applause for him. Dr. Yuri in the early career include significant work as a journalist for Antara News Agency from 1992 until 2014. He has also contributed to training programs for various governmental and corporate entities. And in this forum, we really expect Dr. Yuri can explain us based on his expertise in communication. So now is your time. About 15 minutes maybe, Dr. Yuri?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Please excuse me, may I speak from the floor? Is it okay?
Yes,
Because
it's okay.
I'm tired.
I think, yeah,
I'm tired to
this
sit
microphone
here.
is better.
Pardon?
This microphone is lebih suara keras.
Test. Okay, thank you, sir. Good morning, participants, ladies and gentlemen. So my presentation about, wait a minute, artificial intelligence, online disinhibition, and digital inequality. And the background of, the background of my presentation is about digital transformation has reshaped identity formation, public opinion, and socio-political interaction. And there are 3 interconnected phenomena are central to this presentation: artificial intelligence, online disinhibition, and digital inequality. Okay, next slide. I hope that I no more than 15 minutes. So there are a critical intersection framework if we talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about algorithm, generative AI, deepfake, bots, personalized content, and if we talk about online disinhibition, we talk about anonymity. You know about online disinhibition. Online disinhibition, it is when we anonymity, we use our social media, and then we brave to speak, we brave to express our opinion. And this could be positive or negative side. Yeah? And also digital inequality. And when we talk about digital inequality, we talk about unequal access, infrastructure, skill, critical literacy, and outcomes. So three of them, this is the problem what we will discuss about in my presentation about the communication practices in the Global South. And about artificial intelligence in Global South, AI performs tasks associated with human intelligence. Next slide. Yeah. Including language processing, decision making, recognition, and prediction. So there is an algorithm bias if we talk about AI, because the AI system trained in the global north, and the system trained mainly on the global north dataset may fail to capture local language and cultural nuance. So this is the problem when, for instance, when you ask ChatGPT or Gemini AI, you ask, you make a prompt like, please make a photo of a student in the class, and AI will make a photo of a European face, like Mr. Karim, not like Indonesian face, not like Indian or African, and so on. So this is the gap, yeah. I can say that the gap from the global south and the global north, because mostly AI produced from the global north. And then also, wait a minute, the infrastructure dependence. Yeah. Infrastructure dependence, developing countries may remain depend on the global north. So we in the global south still depend because they are the producers and we are the consumers. If we talk about online disinhibition effect, there are two effects. One is the positive effects, or we call it benign disinhibition. So when you are anonymity, you dare or you brave to speak, you brave to express your opinion. It could be a positive side or a positive things when you express your opinion to positive purpose, such as if you see injustice or you want to criticize the government. But there is also a toxic disinhibition or negative side of online disinhibition, because you are anonymity, so you can make or produce a hate speech and then cyberbullying and so on. Next slide. So this is still the problem for the global south. There are three levels for digital inequality. The first one is access. Many countries in the global south still have experience difficulties in access for internet. The problem with connectivity, access, device, affordability, 4th generation and 5th generation coverage, and also basic infrastructure. And the second level about the technical competence, critical thinking, digital literacy, and so on. And also the third level divide is outcomes. Could you make some money from your social media. If you can't make some money from your social media, it means that you can use 100% of your skill in social media. So it is the same with the Indonesian experience in the communication context. In Indonesia, I can say that there is what we call it leapfrog modernity. So there is exists the uneven education, uneven development of education. But on the other side, there is a rapid smartphone adoption. In Indonesia, this is the problem. One person maybe have two smartphone, yeah, but it is still, you can say that in rural areas, maybe many people have no smartphone, but in the urban area, in the big cities, many people have 2 or 3 smartphones. So there is a problem with low critical media literacy. Can expose user directly to global information flows and engagement-driven algorithm. So in Indonesia, we have a problem in Indonesian case. We have a problem with the toxicity and unequal access. In toxicity, online disinhibition, because still many people produce the hate speech, bullying, or so on, by using this social media. And the other problem about Java and outer island, or we call it in Indonesia 3T region, terdepan or outermost region, and then terdepan, frontier, and then the terluar, outermost, and terbelakang, in disadvantaged region. So we have still problem with this 3T region. So it becomes, if we back to the global south, the problem still exists about destructive cycle of intersection, yeah. Let's say in digital inequality, still low critical literacy and unequal access, and also AI-based platform, sensational or manipulative content is recommended. This is the destructive cycle of intersection. And also when in online disinhibition, user respond with hostility and misinformation. And in algorithm exploitation, there is a high engagement, toxic content is amplified. So this is the problem in, I think this is still exists the problem in the global south. And sorry, may I ask you, where are you from?
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Okay, I want to know about the infrastructure in Pakistan. Internet infrastructure is okay or still very weak? I just want to know about your opinion.
Yeah, in Pakistan, in big cities, we have very good infrastructure. But in remote areas like Indonesia, just like you were presenting, in remote areas, Indonesia do not have full access. So it's, in Pakistan, we are facing the same issue, just like you were presenting right now. Yeah, yeah.
But still exists, the problem still exists. We are still in the youth, yeah, in the global south. Thank you, sir. And then also about, oh, sorry, where are you from, sir?
I'm from Sierra Leone.
Okay, my question is, how about the literacy in your country? it very good, the level of digital literacy in your country?
Yeah, as a country that is being colonized by the British people, actually the level of literacy has increased to a very high point. And then in the area of digital, the moment you can read and write in English, it's easy for you to understand the digital aspect. So for us coming from English aspects speaking countries, now a lot of people deal with tech, a lot of people understand the technology. So the inequality is actually just like Indonesia, wherein the cities are more exposed, where in the villages find it difficult. That is all. But there is high level of illiteracy now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please shake hand. Thank you. Oh, yes. Okay, finally, what the government should do about that? Government and regulators, I think the government and regulators should prioritize equitable internet infrastructure, especially in 3T regions. 3T, the outermost, the disadvantaged area and regions, and also in the frontier regions. In Indonesia, yeah, this is the case in Indonesia. Also about develop ethical framework for public AI use and require clear labeling or watermarking of AI-generated content. This is the problem of Indonesia, and then, but I think that this is the same problem in the global South countries. Also in education and civil society, what they have to do, the first thing is move from technical literacy to critical digital literacy, and also teach fact-checking. In Indonesia, many mass media make a fact-checking, but I don't know if the other countries in the global south, yeah. Is there any mass media also make a fact-checking, logical fallacy, discourse, and interaction ethics? And for the platform and society, what they have to do? They have to align AI system with local cultural context. The second one, strengthen moderation in Indonesian and local language, yeah, because some AI could not translate the some local language, yeah, like I don't know, Swahili or something, but mostly they understand English language, and then promote digital empathy and benign disinhibition or positive disinhibition. That's my presentation. I wrap up here. Thank you.
Check. Thank you, Pak Dr. Yuri, for the presentation. And yeah, from your presentation, I realized that when we make a prompt and we ask something to the artificial intelligence such as the ChatGPT, for example, for asking the picture about the students, then the picture coming from North countries. Yeah, like Bule. Yeah, because the database coming much more than from the North countries than the global South countries. Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting information, and that's why the database in the AI from the South, global South countries is still very limited, and I don't know, maybe one day, the database can be equal between the North and the global South countries, and it can be developed better sovereignty for our countries. Okay, can I ask more again, big applause for Dr. Yuri, please. Thank you so much. And now we are going to the last speaker. She is the most beautiful among the speakers, Ibu Dr. Konita. Unfortunately, she cannot be on site with us in this room because there's the other events that she has to attend in the Australia, in Adelaide. So, Dr. Ibu Konita, are you with us here? Yeah.
Yes.
I guess
Do
now
you, can you hear me?
in Adelaide now is about the 2 p.m., right? Yeah, 2:42. Yeah, because in Adelaide is earlier than Jakarta. So, Dr. Konita, she is Indonesian anthropologist and academic based in Universitas Nasional. She completed her PhD in anthropology in Universitas Indonesia, and her area specialty is on anthropology of education, schooling culture, urban Muslim, and corporate culture. Now, her current research work are on creative city study that highlight Pekalongan as the first appointed creative city in Indonesia, and on knowledge transformation of female farmers in Bogor Regency, West Java. She is also a member of Indonesian Anthropology Association and Education Division staff of the Central Executive Board of Al-Irshad Al-Islamiyah Indonesia. She is currently appointed as Secretary of Sociology, Department Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Nasional Jakarta. So, Ibu Dr. Konita, from sociological perspective, I hope you can share and give us insight. How is digital transformation changing the social relation and political participation in the global south? I think the time is yours, is 15 until 20 minutes. Please.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me? Is my voice to be heard? I cannot hear my voice. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure it's still in the morning in Jakarta. So the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science and the Vice Deans, Your Excellency Sheikh Abdul Karim Haralimana, distinguished colleagues, professor, researchers, students, and friends, it is an honor for me to be part of this highly expert of invited speakers lined up. Very good morning to you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me, Pak Maulana?
Very clear. You can go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So today I would like, can you start my PowerPoint? I've sent it to the committee previously. Yeah, you can start my PowerPoint. Thank you. Next. So today I would like to discuss a question that many may initially appear quite simple. What kind of person should a school produce? Today I would like to discuss this further. So is that the purpose of education, to produce an intelligent person or a successful professional or a competitive citizen? A good Indonesian, how is a good Indonesian defined? Or perhaps a pious person? But what happens when a school attempts to produce all of these qualities at the same time? The question became particularly important in my research on the integrated Islamic school of Sekolah Islam Terpadu in Indonesia. My research was conducted in Nurul Fikri, Depok. It is an urban area located in the southern edge of Jakarta. I conducted ethnographic research using participant observation, in-depth interview, and literature studies. Next. This research emerged from my interest in a particular phenomenon. Since the early 1990s, integrated Islamic school have become an important alternative in Indonesian urban education. The school combined the national education curriculum with Islamic values, but what I found was that the Islamic character of the school could not be understood simply by looking at the subject taught in the classroom. Something much deeper was happening. Islamic values were being cultivated through everyday life, through routines, through relationships, through disciplines, through behavior of teachers, through parental involvement, and through school culture. Next. And through what we commonly call the hidden curriculum. My argument today is that Islamic schooling in urban Indonesia can be understood as a form of moral modernity. It does not simply reject modernity. A person who is intellectually capable, socially responsible, nationally engaged, but also religiously committed and morally disciplined. And I would like to suggest that this provides us with an important perspective for understanding educational transformation in the global south. Next. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So why Islamic schooling? Let me begin with the context. The emergence of integrated schools in Indonesia needs to be understood within the broader development of the Tarbiyah movement. The Tarbiyah movement itself developed strongly among university students during the 1980s. The term Tarbiyah itself refers to the process of education, formation, nurturing, and cadre development. The movement developed a particular concern with the formation of future Muslim generation. The founders of integrated Islamic school perceived that national education system alone was not sufficient for producing the kind of Muslim generation they imagined. Therefore, they create an alternative educational environment. The objective was much more ambitious. It was integrate Islamic values into the everyday process of schooling. Next, in my finding, I describe this as an effort as a form of active cultural resistance among urban Muslims. The resistance were not necessarily expressed through political confrontation. It did not necessarily take the form of demonstration or direct opposition to the state. Instead, resistance was enacted through the creation of alternative educational institutions. In other words, next. Rather than simply criticizing the existing system, they created another model. The school became a space where community experiment and experience with the kind of person and society it was to create. My research therefore sees the integrated Islamic school not simply as a school. It's a cultural project. It is a project of transmitting values from one generation to another. My findings shows that the Tarbiyah project imagined an ideal Muslim community and sought to transmit its values intergenerationally through educational institutions. Next. This means that when parents choose an integrated Islamic school, they are not choosing only mathematics, science, English, or academic achievement. They also choosing a particular moral environment. And this brings us to the question of urban modernity. Next. The school developed within an urban context. An urban life brings many possibilities: education, career opportunities, technology, global communication, consumer culture, social mobility, but urban life also produces anxieties. During my fieldwork, I encountered concerns about what parents perceive as the moral risk of a contemporary urban life. These concerns include consumerism, individualism, permissive relationship, the influence of popular culture, social media, and what some parents perceive as a fragmentation of family life. Next. Therefore, choosing a school become more than an educational decision. It becomes a decision about how childhood should be protected and shaped. Parents were looking for a school that could provide academic competence while also providing moral guidance. This is one of the paradoxes that I found fascinating. Urban Muslim parents were not rejecting modernity. They were often highly educated. They want their children to be competitive. They want their children to master science and technology, to speak English, to enter good universities, But at the same time, they wanted their children to remain religious and to become pious. They wanted modernity without what they perceive is as a moral uncertainty. So the question was not modernity of Islam. Next. What kind of modernity can be morally acceptable? And this is where I propose the concept of moral modernity. Moral modernity refers here as a process in which modern aspirations are combined with an explicitly Islamic moral framework. The ideal student is not someone who withdraws from modern society, but it is someone who can enter modern society while maintaining Islamic ethical commitment. This is why the vision of integrated Islamic school is significant. The school imagined a student of Saleh, Muslih, cerdas, mandiri, and terampil, religiously committed, socially constructive, intelligent, independent, and skilled. The school educational vision therefore connected religious morality with the intellectual and practical competence. So we should not understand Islamic schooling simply as anti-modern project. It is better understood of an attempt to redefine what being modern should mean. So beyond the formal curriculum, I would like to move to the center of the concept of my research, the hidden curriculum. Educational sociologists and anthropologists have long reminded us that children learn many things that are never written in a curriculum document. They learn how to behave, they learn how to speak, they learn how to respect authority, and also they learn what kinds of behavior are considered appropriate or inappropriate. They learn how to interact with other people, what is considered good, and they learn what is considered inappropriate or not good. The lessons are communicated through everyday school life. At Islamic schooling, Islamic values were transmitted not only through formal religious subjects, they were embedded in our daily routines and relationships. For example, the practices, the religious practices, classroom behavior, school assemblies, extracurricular activities, school uniforms, and wider culture of the institution. My finding shows that values were transmitted through interaction and outside the classroom, leadership and management. Teacher selection and development, student activities, and relationship with parents are external organization. Therefore, the school is, itself become a pedagogical environment. The message is not only what I should learn here, but it's also here is how you should live. This is what the hidden curriculum mentioned as it should be. Next. Now let us return the concept of resistance. When we hear the word resistance, we often imagine confrontation, we imagine protest, we imagine political opposition. But my findings suggest another form of resistance. It is quieter, it is institutional, it is in everyday life. The establishment of integrated Islamic school can be understood as a form of active cultural resistance. The founders of schools did not simply say the existing educational system is inadequate. They created alternative. They developed a school, they developed a curriculum, they instill hidden curriculum, and they train teachers. They develop school regulation, they involve parents, they build networks, and they reproduce this practice over time and time. This is a significant because the school become mechanism through which a cultural vision can survive across generations. My research described that the school as a mean through which tarbiyah value can be transmitted and maintained beyond the original movement. The school therefore become a kind of cultural infrastructure. It creates a space where people can practice a particular way of being Muslim. And this is why the notion of schooling culture become more useful than the simply notion of curriculum. Schooling culture includes everything that happens around education, the relationship, the routines, the expectation, the emotion, the institutional memory, the aspiration, and the moral assumption. Next. Next slide. So what about moral nationalism? Now we come that I consider one of the most interesting questions. What happens when an Islamic school operates inside a national educational system? Does Islamic identity necessarily conflict with Indonesian nationalism? The question is particularly important because there has been a considerable public debate about Islamic school, political Islam, intolerance, and nationalism in Indonesia. But my ethnographic approach suggests that we need to be more careful. The relationship is not simply Islam versus nation. Instead, Islamic schooling negotiates with the national system. It operates within Indonesian society. Its students are Indonesian citizens, definitely, and teachers are Indonesian educators. And its educational project interact with the national education system. My dissertation specifically examines the school curriculum as the arena of contestation of idea within the Indonesian educational system. Another important finding is that the school does not work alone. Parents are deeply involved. There are seminars, parent meetings, religious gatherings, parenting programs, and other forms of engagements. Why? Because the school understands that education cannot stop at the school gate. The child goes home. The children enter the neighborhood. The child interacts with the friends, uses social media. Therefore, the moral environment must extend beyond the classroom. These produce what I call a network of moral formation. The school influences the family. The family reinforces the school. The teacher guides students. Parents reinforce values at home. And the students themselves eventually carry those values into other social environments. The Tarbiyah project therefore becomes intergenerational. It's not only about education today's children, it's about imagining what kind of Muslim society may exist tomorrow, years from now, decades from now. Next. Let me return to the larger theoretical question. Why is this case important beyond Indonesia? Because it is a challenge, a common assumption about modernity. Modernity is often associated with secularization, with individualism, rationalization, with the separation of religion from public institution. But Indonesia case suggests that modernity can take different forms. In urban Indonesia, we see people who embrace global education, technology, professional career, urban lifestyles, and international aspiration while simultaneously seeking strong religious identities. This tells us that modernity is not necessarily one universal process. There can be multiple modernities, and the global south is not simply receiving modernity from the global north. Communities in the global south actively reinterpret modernity. They select elements, they negotiate them, they adapt them, and they combine with local religious and cultural tradition. Integrated Islamic school therefore provide fascinating examples of this process. They say, in effect, but we want our children we want them to be morally grounded. We want them to be globally competent, but we want them to remain religiously committed. We want them to
Sorry, Bu
participate in the
Konita, your
nation.
remaining time is 1 minute.
I'll
Yeah,
get to the
we
conclusion.
just please go on to the wrapping up or
Okay.
just go to the most important point. Thank you.
Okay. Next slide. Let me conclude with the three. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Let me conclude with these three arguments. First, Islamic schooling is not only about religious education. The school attempts to shape how students think, how they behave, how they relate to others, and how they imagine their future. Second, the hidden curriculum is central to this process. Islamic values are transmitted not only through formal lessons, but through routines, relationship, institutional culture, parental engagement, and everyday practice. This is why my research found that curriculum to be a form of active cultural resistance. The school sought that to integrate Islamic values into everyday Muslim life. And the third, Islamic piety and Indonesian nationalism should not automatically be trapped as opposite. The two are negotiated through the production of moral citizenship. The school seeks to produce students who can live in modern Indonesia as educated, capable, socially responsible, and religiously committed citizens. So perhaps the most important question is no longer, is Islamic schooling modern or anti-modern? For me, the more interesting question will be, what kind of modernity is being created through Islamic schooling? And from the perspective of the global south, the answer may be a modernity is that is technologically capable, socially engaged, nationally situated, but also morally and religiously grounded. This is what I meant with moral modernity. And this is why I believe study of Islamic schooling in Indonesia can contribute not only to anthropology or sociology of education, but also to our broader understanding of religiosity. The educational transformation in global south. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Indonesia, who now in Adelaide, Australia, for the presentation. It's very interesting, because looking at the education system based on the anthropology perspective, I think it's something new and not many studies doing this research on the anthropology perspective. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we already discussed the global south from the multi-dimensional perspective, and also the communication dimension. From here, we understand that the discussion of the global south is not only can be understood from the one perspective or one discipline, because if we talk about the global south, it can be looked at from the multidimensional perspective, like what all our distinguished speaker already presented speakers. And now we are going to the Q&A session. Now, according to the rundown that I have, we just have 30 minutes for the Q&A session, because we will get to the break session in 12:30. So now we just have 25 minutes. Then I open for questions, Open for questions, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. We already have 4 persons will be asked, and the committee, please give the microphone to the participants. Thank you. And I just reminder to the all questions, because we have the limited time. Thank you. Please.
Di Prayetno, I'm student for doctoral program at Public Administration, National University, Universitas Nasional at home. Thank you, my brother Maulana. I have 2 questions actually. Number 1 for Mr. Karim, for Indonesian style, but Mr. Blazi for infrastructure dependent. My question is how to improve global south to south and global north, because we are now in inequitable relationship South being global market. Can I add second question, Mr. Maulana?
Yes, please. Just quick,
Yeah,
Mr. Hadi.
thank you. Second question dedicated for Professor Lai. I think ASEAN will always being interesting region and area. I have my article published by Global South Forum last February this year, and ASEAN Middle Power and Global Crisis. And I very interested to your illustration, but my question is how to transform and strengthen the very loose ASEAN relationship to be more powerful and influential for global societies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadi from the Public Administration Doctoral Program, Universitas Nasional. And the second, with the glasses first, and next to with batik, green batik. Your name, institution, and also the country.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much. Myself, Hassan Raza, and I am from Pakistan. Just completed my master's in international relations. My question is basically for Dr. Lai about ASEAN and the regional security dynamics. First of all, I'm just quite interested in understanding his perspective that right now we are seeing change of security dimensions in the especially middle powers and developing countries. We have seen that Indonesia right now is trying to equip and build up its military, either it is in marine or either it is air force. And we have also seen countries like Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Turkey, like they are making defense spec, changing with the right now what's happening in the war in Iran, USA, and Israel. So I just want to ask how he sees this change of security paradigm in these global south countries, especially if I just want to says this
pace will, if those kind of models attack pace, if those kind of models attacks any countries, like developing countries, will their laws and governing systems actually have strength? Laws and governing systems actually have strength in calling those models that develop these models to question. And then my last question is going to Ibo Konita. Actually, everything is connected to AI. Now, she already mentioned that Islamic education or Islamic teaching or schools is not about only Islam. It's talking about knowledge base. So I just want to know, there are any suggestions wherein we can include AI to the developing process of the Islamic teaching process? Thank you.
Thank you. And the last.
As for Professor Dr. Lai Weiwei, as multilateralism grows in the weekend Indo-Pacific, could in potentially weaken ASEAN centrality and create internal divisions, or could it instead complement ASEAN's regional cooperation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So all the distinguished speakers, we already have 4 questions for this session. And I think, yeah, we just opened one session. Sorry for this. The first is from Hadi. He's asking to, there are two questions to Mr. Karim, and then 3 questions to questions. Yeah, sorry, before you start,
okay.
2 until 3 minutes, enough maybe?
Okay.
Thank you.
The first question was more about how Indonesia can strengthen, right?
Yeah.
That was the question?
Yep.
So it's happening right now, actually, as we speak. Because even just last week, NVIDIA, Nokia, Indosat, Oradeo, just 1 gigawatt AI factory, basically, which is also going to be combined with Sahabat AI, which Sahabat AI is a 70 billion parameter large language model, which is completely aligned with what Dr. Yuri is saying. It's going to localize and make it much easier for everyone in Indonesia to speak and get answers from eloquently. So it's happening right now, as we speak. And it'll never happen in the short term on the microchip side, but on the data, on the compute, the GPU, the CPU, and for the language model, it's in the works right now. And that's the only thing we can wait for until the next situation happens. But it's already quite exciting. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. And what was the...
And the second question also from Barry, yeah, is I think, yeah, he's asking about how to make relationship can be more equitable between
more equitable between the countries. You mentioned something about attack. I don't know if you saw the news just, I think it was yesterday, that Meta and Instagram, with their own AIs, as well as NVIDIA, they're actually appointing individual employees with the kill switch. You know what I mean? So when AI start attacking each other. But how it can make it more equitable for emerging economies and developing countries, I mean, it all comes down to education, right? We need to have large language models that are affordable for the masses. Because even in Indonesia, for example, as in any other emerging economy, they can't afford to pay the 20 plus US dollars per month to access a very limited credit system for speaking to AI, right? And not only that, nobody's teaching anybody how to prompt. The prompts have changed already so much in the last 6 months, let alone 3 months. So to make it more equitable for everyone, it has to be wider access to the average user, even going down to the kampong, down to the village level, and educating of that it's not just a Google search replacement, but that it actually is much deeper than that. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm an AI expert, but just from my own understanding and aspiration, that's how I would see it be more equitable. So if you could develop a middleware software that has a front end to an average user that any education level could access, combined with enterprise accounts of LLM behind it, in that language model, you can make an affordable AI for the masses.
Yeah, interesting.
Discreetly, yeah.
Yeah, Professor Lai, are you with us? Professor Lai? Can you hear the voice from the room?
You hear me?
Yeah, very clear. Yeah.
Alright.
Professor
Yes.
Lai, yeah, please, your response from, there are 3 questions. First is about how to transform and to strengthen the value of ASEAN in the global society. And the second is, it's about the changing security paradigm in the situation in the Middle East. Can it be changed, the security paradigm in the ASEAN, especially in the global South countries? Yeah, I think that's all some question I noted. Your time 2 until 3 minutes. Professor, please.
Okay, let me take the first question. Now, The question is basically on how to transform and strengthen ASEAN. Yeah. Now let me put it very clearly. In a nutshell, ASEAN can be generally considered as one of the most successful regional integration story or experiment. Why do I say that? I say that because if you were to take a look at the history of regional integrations, you can see that ASEAN is still here. We are going to celebrate our 60th integrations. Some are already quote unquote integrations. Some are already quote unquote history. So the very presence of ASEAN, the ability of ASEAN to continue existing and reinventing itself over the decades suggests that ASEAN is quite capable, yeah, as an institution. But having said all that, of course, they were ASEAN, right? One of the latest that I've read from the Council of Foreign Relations say, the thing here is that thorny security challenges and issues. You can just imagine if we stop talking to each other, then we'll be in trouble, right? But of course, ASEAN can actually strengthen. How do I strengthen and address those shortcomings or those weaknesses that has always been leveled at me? Number one, I think consensus is important, but there should also be some degree of flexibility by introducing what I've mentioned just now, right? ASEAN Troika system is already in existence, meaning the previous incumbent and the next ASEAN chair coming together to drive plus arrangement. Maybe the 5 ASEAN key members or the principal founding members together with any other ASEAN states or non-ASEAN states to come together to try to have this so-called intra-ASEAN mini-lateral arrangements, whereby if we can forge consensus, then it can become building blocks that could include other ASEAN member states and also non or extra ASEAN member states in order to deliberate and to agree and to achieve potential solutions. And of course, finally, very importantly, is that when we talk about ASEAN, we also need to make sure that there is an ability for ASEAN to solidify our cohesion and unity. Yeah, and this is something which is not easy because we are so diverse. But so long as we stand on this very principle that ASEAN is basically a loose regional, there is no what we call as strings attached. Yeah, unlike other more institutionalized regional orders. So this is something which ASEAN plays an important role, yeah, in global order. In global order. Now, second question is basically about how minilateralism complements ASEAN making. So this is basically what I've mentioned just now, that basically minilateralism can serve as that so-called building block, yeah, towards potential consensus eventually, even though consensus might not be possible in some issue areas because it is basically just not realistic enough. But it can serve as that building block. Now, finally, with regards to changing security paradigm, yes, I would say that again, this world is becoming increasingly fragmented and disruptive. So therefore, we cannot deny that minilateralism is that sort of model, yeah? Whether it is sub-regional, trans-regional, regional sort of arrangement. So long as we can gather a group of like-minded countries with a shared strategic objective, that can actually help to strengthen and complement each other towards achieving our mutual objectives. Yeah. For instance, when you are dealing with a potential bigger and more aggressive nation or power, quote unquote, if you are talking about Israel, because the person who asked was basically asking about how these Muslim countries, through minilateral arrangements, especially defense pact, can complement each other in forging a more collective and united front vis-a-vis a more powerful and even potentially aggressive power. Yeah, so that's basically my...
And the last is to Ibu Konita. There's a question from the participants that's what if AI technology include in the Islamic education like what you presented just now? Please, Ibu Konita.
Okay, it was Bari, isn't it?
Sorry?
The one who raised the question? That was Bari.
Um, j- I forget the name is, yeah, Bari, Bari. Ahmad Bari.
Nice to meet you, Bari.
Yeah.
So we have been discussing on how AI to be utilized ethically. This is something that we cannot avoid or something that we need to be allergic or to condemn. AI is right in front of our door. It is in our hand and has become a lifestyle. We here in UNAS even is being trained to utilize AI to ease our everyday tasks. Using AI to enhance and speed up our work is now a necessity. But the question, how to utilize it, how to employ it right and ethically, and how we put in a terms helping us, not shaping us. The thin line that might separate is that us, social scientists, we work with and on data every day. We develop and produce new knowledge by presenting data and to take into account to be responsible by share the knowledge what we produce based on rational and accountable data. Our only language here is data. So in terms of modernization, everywhere, we're not talking here specifically in Islamic school or Islamic schooling culture. AI is not to be counted on, but to put it as an assistance. I think, I hope that's reach your question.
For the response, and I hope all the answer from the distinguished speakers can answer the question from all the participants. And my big apology to Pak Dr. Yuri and also to Prof. Haran because of the limited time we have. I cancel to give additional time to Dr. Yuri and Prof. Haran to give some additional response from the questions. But before I close this discussion, I have one question in regard with our discussion today, and I hope all the distinguished speakers can answer with very short sentence and short statement. I hope all the speakers continue my sentence. First is to Mr. Karim. The Global South will have a meaningful future in the new global order if ... One statement from you. I repeat, the Global South will have meaningful future in the new global order if
this 1 gigawatt AI factory and Sahaba AI run perfectly.
Thank you. To Dr. Yuri, the Global South, the similar statement, yeah, from me, the Global South will have a meaningful future in the...
There is an improvement for skill and infrastructure and also the digital literacy.
All right, very nice. To Ibu Dr. Konita, the same statement, the Global South will have meaningful future in the new global order if... Ibu Konita, are you still there? Okay, we move to Professor Lai. Oh yeah.
Any question? Yes.
Yeah. We go to Ibu Konita
Very short answer.
first. Yeah. Bu Konita, can you just follow up the statement? The Global South will have meaningful future in the new global order if South will have meaningful future in the new global order and To Professor Lai, again, the new statement, the Global South will have meaningful future in the new global order if
we have regional organizations in the Global South like ASEAN, which can serve as this strategic bridge in enhancing relations and bridging that so-called dichotomy between the North and the South to create a more united global order.
Prof. Haran, are you still there? Are you still with us? Yeah, Prof. Haran, the same statement.
If the countries of the Global South think not only about their own interests, particular interests, but also about the basic principles of international law and justice, which includes independence and sovereignty and future of our world security. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all distinguished speakers, Dr. Yuri, Mr. Karim, Ibu Konita. Maybe Prof. Haran and Prof. Lai can come to the Universitas Nasional and joining us discussion on set in this room. And on behalf of the committee of ICOSOP 6, I would like to thank to all our distinguished speakers. And there's no big conclusion, but I hope this discussion can give us new insightful thinking, and also the discussion we can do it beyond this forum. Thank you. Selamat siang. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very well, we may now take over again as the MCs. Thank you very much for Mr. Muhammad Maulana SHMPA for leading such an engaging and insightful session.
And of course, our participants for sharing his valuable insight and actively contributing to today's discussion.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the first session of the conference.
And once again, please give a warm round of applause to our moderators, speakers, and everyone who has been part of this session.
And before we going to take a break, we will hand over a certificate of appreciation to our moderator, Mr. Muhammad. Can you please go back to the stage for handovering the certificate by the chairwoman, Mrs. Atina Iza. To hand over the certificate as well. And also Mr. Karim to please come up to the stage to also for handovering the appreciation. warm round of applause to all of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the lunch and Zuhur prayer break.